Hi friends. Story on Friday presents you, Feluda's Weakest Mystery. Written by, Satyajit Roy. In last episode we heard, Feluda got involved into a case where, a theater actor Mr. Mahitosh has been missing. While investigating he found that, Mr. Mahitosh went for his usual walk by the lake, and never returned home. Feluda found a brass box from where Mr. Mahitosh got missing. According to police, Mr. Mahitosh has been murdered. Feluda suspected two people. Thereafter, on reaching the Apsara theater, we saw that Mr. Lal Mohan was waiting.
What's the matter?
Asked the gentleman.
Haven't you seen today's paper?
Of course, I have. Mahitosh Roy has disappeared.
Disappeared? He's probably finished.
Then, Feluda briefly recounted the morning's events to Mr. Lal Mohan.
So, are we going to investigate the theater now?
At least, let's talk to the manager first.
We were talking while standing on the sidewalk. And then, we went inside. At the gate, the guard told us that, the manager's name was Kailash Chatterjee. He was in his office. To reach the manager's office, we had to cross a room. There, a gentleman was sitting in front of a table, sorting through some papers. He asked us what we needed. Feluda then took out a card and handed it to the gentleman, saying,
"If I could meet with Mr. Kailash Chatterjee."
The gentleman asked us to wait and went inside. After a minute, he came out and said,
"You may go in."
The three of us entered the manager's room. He was a short, stout, dark man with a thin mustache under his nose, around 50 years old. He said,
"I have heard your name, but I am wondering why you suddenly needed to come here."
Feluda said,
"I needed to know something about one of your actors who is missing."
"Are you talking about Mahitosh? The police have already come and made an inquiry about that."
The gentleman came to see me. He had received some threatening letters, and wanted my advice on them.
Threatening letters? So, was he murdered? I thought he might have gone into hiding from his creditors.
No. It doesn't seem like that.
Of course, I can't say that his disappearance has caused us any significant loss. Prashant is managing fairly well. The police came yesterday. We couldn't provide any specific information. Mahitosh was a rather reserved person. He didn't have much of a rapport with anyone. His acting was decent enough. However, he wanted to play the main role in Prafula, but he didn't have that capability.
So, you're saying he had no enemies?
As I said, neither enemies nor friends.
Was there an actor, named Jagannath Bhattacharya with you at one time?
Yes, but he was let go a long time ago.
Mahitosh was taken in his place, right?
That's correct. I hadn't thought of that.
Do you have his old address? He may not be there now.
Mr. Kailash pressed a bell. A young boy, about 5 years old, came in from the adjacent room.
Give them Jagannath's address.
Within a minute, the address arrived. It was 27 Nirmal Bose Street. Mr. Lal Mohan said, he knew the street. We got up to leave. Nirmal Bose Street was an alley in Shyambazar. On inquiring at the address, we learned that Mr. Jagannath still lived there. Feluda sent his card, through a servant. Shortly after, we were called in. We entered a room with a cot. On it sat a thin, emaciated would be more accurate, gentleman. Even as we entered the room, he remained seated.
"What is the need of a detective with me suddenly?"
Was the gentleman's first question. Feluda said,
Did you know an actor, named Mahitosh Roy?
It would be wrong to say, I knew him. He came, and I was ruined, that's my acquaintance with him. But I see that he has now disappeared.
Disappeared? It's highly likely that he has been murdered.
Murdered? Well, I won't be heartbroken over it. He took away my livelihood, and that's the biggest truth for me.
Before his death, Mr. Mahitosh received several threatening letters. Can you shed any light on that?
You're asking if I wrote those letters, aren't you?
It seems you still have a lot of resentment towards him.
Only because you brought it up. Mahitosh Roy is a matter of the past. I don't bother with it anymore. After that, I got a job at Deepti Theatre, and I'm still there. What I earn is enough for me. I've given up drinking. I'm not involved in anything shady. The only problem I have is hip pain. Other than that, I'm fine. You reminded me of Mahitosh, otherwise, I had completely forgotten about him.
Did you ever see Mahitosh after you left Apsara?
No, sir. Not even once. I haven't even seen him on stage. I don't go to Apsara Theatre.
3 months have passed since then, and there has been no news of Mr. Mahitosh. There is no reason to doubt that he fell victim to an assassin. We visited the Apsara Theatre once more, to see if there was any news, but it was of no use. We only found out that another actor had replaced Mahitosh Roy. His name is Sudhendu Chakraborty. He is now performing in Prafula in Mahitosh's place, and is doing quite well. In the meantime, Feluda gathered more information about Mahitosh Roy. He spoke with Mahitosh's younger brother, Shibtosh, and learned that he had no relationship with his elder brother. Feluda asked,
Was the conflict with your brother solely because of property?
Shibtosh replied,
Is there any need for more reasons than that? My brother used to flatter our father. I didn't go that route. Flattery isn't in my nature. Being the younger son, I was always looked down upon. My father did so, and my brother certainly did too. That's why I was deprived of the property. Is it any wonder that this caused conflict?
Listening to him, I felt that Shibtosh still harbored a full measure of resentment towards his brother. Feluda said,
Do you want to comment on Mr. Mahitosh's death? Perhaps you understand that if he lost his life at the hands of a thief, it wouldn't be surprising if that thief were you.
I haven't seen my brother in the last 5 years. All my connections with him had ceased. I had no relationship with his theater life.
Do you remember what you were doing between 6 and 8 in the evening, when Mr. Mahitosh was found missing?
I was doing what I always do. I was playing cards with my friends.
Where?
At Sardar Shankar Road. Number 11. Anup Sen Gupta's house. You can investigate.
Feluda went to Mr. Shivtosh's friend's house on Sardar Shankar Road to check. He was told that there is a gathering of card players at their house every day, and Mr. Shivtosh comes regularly. Feluda needed to investigate a major suspect. The next morning, Mr. Lulmohan came and said,
Sir, this case is not a joke. You seem to be mistakenly obsessed with it. Instead, let's go somewhere for a few days. A plot is coming to my mind, and you can also clear your head a bit.
Where will we go?
Feluda asked.
What happens in Dega? I haven't seen it yet.
Fine. That sounds good to me. I don't think this case will be resolved. The killer of Mr. Mahitosh will escape the law's grasp.
The next day, we went to Dega. The tourist lodge was booked. And it seemed we would have a relaxing stay. On top of that, there was swimming in the sea. Mr. Lulmohan had bought a new red swimsuit. As evening approached in Dega, Kolkata's newspaper came. Taking the first page of Anand Bazar, Feluda burst into laughter.
What's the matter?
Mr. Lulmohan and I asked together.
The chief actor of the Apsara Theatre, murdered.
Feluda said.
Has something started? Tell me more.
In short, the news. I read the news. It said, 2 days ago, Nepal Lahiri, the main actor of Apsara Theatre, returned home in a taxi after the theatre. On the way, he got off at a friend's house in an alley. He was murdered there. Police have been informed, and they are investigating. Mr. Nepal Lahiri has a wife, and a 12-year-old son. They haven't shed any light on the matter.
So, what now?
Mr. Lulmohan asked.
In that case, you need to visit Apsara Theatre for interrogation.
Why me?
Because my foot is itching today, during the sea bath. And I'm feeling, tomorrow it might be painful.
In that case, let's go back today. We'll return to Kolkata, and put on bandages with turmeric and haldi.
If you can, take my role.
It's been a while since I've been with you. Some knowledge seems to have been gained.
We returned to Kolkata the next day. It was decided that Mr. Lulmohan would come to our house the next morning. Feluda would give him some training, and then, at 10 o'clock, the two of us would go to Apsara Theatre. The next morning, we arrived at Apsara Theatre precisely at 10 o'clock, after Mr. Lulmohan had received training from Feluda. Mr. Lulmohan seemed agitated and said,
I've been feeling guilty for a long time that I haven't actively helped your brother. This time I have the opportunity. Overnight, I had cards printed with my name on them to see how it turned out.
Looking at the card, I saw it was written in English, Mr. Lulmohan Ganguly, writer. It's nice, I said. The card was handed over to the doorman, and within 3 minutes, we were called. Mr. Kailash didn't seem to recognize us. He scrutinized us and then said quite harshly,
Listen, there's a bit of a mess going on here right now. If you've come with a new play, it'll have to be some other time. These days are quite packed.
Mr. Lulmohan cut in.
Sir, I have come behalf of Mr. Pradosh Mitra, who is a private investigator by profession. He's unwell, so couldn't come himself. Before this, he met you regarding the Satyajit Roy case, and I was with him at that time.
Yes, I remember.
The manager responded.
What do you want to know? There's not much more than what's been revealed in the newspapers.
There was one question: did Mr. Nepal also receive a threatening letter like Mr. Satyajit?
He did receive one, but he kept quiet about it for the first few days. Didn't give any clues. Then he told me about it 3 days ago. He'd been receiving these letters for almost 10 days.
Have you seen these letters yourself?
I've seen 2 or 3 of them. Written in big, bold letters. Similar to the threatening letters Satyajit received. I advised him to be cautious, but Nepal seemed to take it lightly, almost as if he considered himself a hero on the stage. He said, I won't be intimidated by these threats.
Where was he staying?
He was staying at Nakuleshwar Bhattacharya Lane, number 17.
Was he married?
Yes.
The paper says he got off the taxi saying he was going to a friend's house. Do you know who this friend is?
When it says, a house in the lane, it seems like it's Shashidhar Chatterjee. He is also an actor, performs in Rupam Theatre.
Did he have any enemies at Apsara Theatre?
How would I know? Everyone envies the lead actor. In that sense, not just in our theatre, Nepal had enemies in other theatres too. Many knew that if they could remove him, our theatre would become weak.
So, is your theater closed now?
Today was Prafula's last show. It won't happen now. We were gearing up for a new play, Alamgir. Nepal was supposed to play the lead role. Now, another actor is being tried. A new guy has come in.
How is he?
Not bad, I suppose. He has come with a beard and mustache, looking like Alamgir. He won't need makeup.
Now, something occurred to me. I said, take the addresses of the main actors here. Feluda might want to talk to some of them.
Yes, you are right.
said Mr. Lal. He called his secretary, by pressing the bell, and got us all the names and addresses. Can you tell me, where the friend's house, that Mr. Nepal was going to that day, is located?
Didn't you see in the paper? The murder happened in Matty Mistry Lane. So, he also lived there.
Without bothering the gentleman further, we got up. We need to visit Shashidhar Chatterjee's house in Matty Mistry Lane once. End of this part. Next part is coming soon.